Welcome to your Get That Nugget for GCSE Maths. Today we will be concentrating on giving you a framework to answer grade 3 dividing fraction questions. Please note this session is to complement your lessons with your teachers and it's not to replace them in any way at all. So it's just to support you in that sense. So let's have a little look. Grade 3 questions all about dividing fractions. Now, before we begin, let's have a look at some questions that we can try on this one. So I'm just going to zoom in so we can see these a little bit easier. And as before, I'm going to use my squared paper so you can follow the examples as I do them. So I'm going to rewrite the question. So I've got 2/5, and what I'm going to divide it by is 3/7. Now, dividing fractions. It seems a bit daunting at first, but they're really not that bad once you understand the process, and it's quite straightforward. Lots of people do use different words or letters for this one, but for me, the key is that you just remember it like this, which is you keep the first fraction the same. What we do is we change the operation, and what we do for the second fraction is we flip it. So same, change, and then flip. And I'm going to go through the process here each time so we're nice and confident what we need to do. So that first fraction does not change. We keep it the same. That stays as 2/5. When I say change the division, what that means is we turn it into multiply. And then what we do with that second fraction is we flip it. So 3/7 would become 7/3. That's the same, that's changed, and that's flipped. And then we just have to understand, or can we remember, how do we multiply fractions? And what's really nice about them is they are the best operation in terms of how easy they are, because all you have to do is multiply the numerators, so 2 times 7, and then multiply the denominators, which is 5 times 3. What I'm going to get here, well, 2 times 7, hopefully we know, is going to be 14, and then 5 times 3 is going to be 15. There's nothing else. It's a case of same, change, flip. You just need to make sure with your final answer that you've simplified if you can, or if it's improper that you've made it into a mixed number. Now I know the only factors of 14 are going to be 1 times 14 and 2 times 7, and 15 is going to be 1, 3, 5 and 15. So there's no common factors, so I'm happy that that's as far as I can go. Let's have a look at the next one. Now, I always like to rewrite it in a form that I'm comfortable with. So at the moment, I've got 3/4, and I need to divide it by 4. Well, I need to turn 4 into a fraction. Well, any whole number as a fraction is just the number over 1. So I've got it in a much nicer form now because I've got 2 fractions that I'm pretty comfortable with. So I always suggest rewriting it first and then start the process, which is same and then change and then flip. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to change my first fraction because I'm keeping it the same. I change my operation from divide to multiply. And then I flip my 4/1, so it becomes 1/4. And then, as we've done before, multiplication, all I need to do is multiply my numerators, and then I'm going to multiply my denominators. And then 3 times 1, I'm fairly confident 3 times 1 is 3. And then 4 times 4 is 16. 3/16. Does it simplify? Well, no, because 16 is not in the 3 times table, and that's as far as I can go. So we're happy. We have simplified those, and we have dealt with the process of dividing fractions. So let's have a little look about upping the difficulty a bit. And by that, I mean involving mixed numbers as well. So, like I've said before, I've got 2.5. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to write the question out, and I'm going to divide it by 3. So I'm just going to rewrite the question here. Now, it's not in a form I'm comfortable with because I've got mixed numbers here, I've got a whole number here, so it's a little bit confusing to start with. So what we're going to need to do is turn them into either improper fractions or proper fractions, just something we're a little bit more comfortable with. So the first thing we need to do is turn this into an improper fraction. Now, hopefully you can remember how to do that, because what we need to do is we multiply the 2 by the denominator, so 2 times 2, which is 4, and we add the numerator, so 4 plus 1 gives me 5. So I have 5/2. And I need to divide that by 3. But 3 isn't in a fraction form yet, so I just need to ensure I put it into a fraction form, so I'm going to write 3/1. Now, you notice it's really important here. What I haven't done is I haven't tried to answer the question yet. I've just put it into a form that I'm more comfortable with. So I've changed that into a fraction, and I've changed this into just a single fraction. Now I'm going to start my process of, right, let's answer the question. Same, change, flip, which means I've got a nice fraction I don't need to change. So it's going to stay as 5/2. I've got a division, which I know I now need to turn into a multiplication. And I've got 3/1, which I know I need to turn into 1/3 because I need to flip it. Now I can go, well, numerator is 5 multiplied by 1, and denominator is 2 multiplied by 3. And 5 times 1, well, I'm pretty sure that's 5. And then 2 times 3 is 6. And then always have a quick check on my answer. Can it simplify? Nope. Is it top heavy? Nope. So I'm happy. That's as far as I can go with that one. So 5/6 is my answer for that question, which originally looked quite tricky, but when we put it into a form we're comfortable with, it becomes a little bit more straightforward for us. Now let's move across to this one, which has got 2 2/7. Again, I'm just going to rewrite the fraction, and then we're going to divide that by 1/3. Like before, I'm not happy with this mixed number at the moment because it's not easy to deal with. I don't want to deal with a whole number and a fraction, so I'm going to turn it into an improper fraction. Now, 2 times the 7 is 14. Add the 2 is going to give me 16. And I know my denominator is going to stay as a 7. Again, I'm not trying to answer the question. I'm just rewriting it. We're happy with 1/3 because that's already a fraction. So all I've done is I've rewritten the question. Now I can start the process because I'm comfortable with what I need to do, which is to keep that the same, to change that, and then to flip that one. So I know this 16/7 stays the same. I need to change my division to a multiply, and then my 1/3 needs to flip, so that's going to become 3/1. Now I need to multiply, which is a nice process where all I need to do is multiply my numerator, and then I'm going to multiply my denominator. So I've got 16 times 3, a little bit tricky. Again, if I need to do long multiplication, I can, but I know that 10 times 3 is 30. And 6 times 3 is 18. So I can write that one as 48. And I know that 7 times 1 is going to be 7. So I've got 48/7. Now, nearly there, but I can see very clearly that that number on the top is much bigger than the number on the bottom. So I need to make that into an improper fraction. So I'm going to do my 7 times table. So how many 7s are going to get me to 48? Hopefully we know that's going to get me to 6 lots of 7 because 6 7s are 42. Which means I'm going to have 6 left over because 6 times 7 is 42, and that's going to have 6 left over to get to 48. So I have 6 6/7. Always check this fraction and think to yourself, right, does it cancel? Nope, I'm happy that 6 and 7, there's no common factors. That's as far as we need to go. Right, I think we'll try one more of these. I think I've got 2, but I think we'll just look at doing one of these. And we'll go with, I think, 1 3/4. So we'll leave this one for a minute and we'll answer this question here, which is 1 3/4. And we're going to divide that by 2 2/3. So pretty much as tricky as they're going to get in terms of having to do a division with mixed numbers. Now, I don't like mixed numbers. I always want improper or proper fractions, whichever ones I can do with the question. So we're going to need to do our multiply by the bottom and then add the top. So 1 times 4 is 4. Add the 3. That fraction should become 7 over, and the denominator will stay as 4. Again, we're not answering the question yet. We are just putting it into a form we're happy with. We're changing these mixed numbers around. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 2 is 8. Don't try and do the same change flip at this stage because you get all confused and it causes you all sorts of issues. So now I'm happy. I've got a fraction, a division, and a fraction. No mixed numbers. Nothing's going to make this question too complicated. So it's just a case of going same, and then change, and then flip. So what I need to do here is I'm going to keep my first fraction the same, which means that stays as 7/4. And I'm going to change my division to a times, and my 8/3 is going to become 3/8. And we know that to multiply, we multiply the numerators, so 7 times 3, and then we multiply the denominators, so 4 times 8. Hopefully we know that 7 times 3 is going to be 21, and then 8 times 4 is 32. I can see it's not top heavy because I haven't got a bigger number on the top, but I just need to have a quick check of this one. 21 and 32 Does it simplify? Are there common factors between them? It's one of the tricky ones where actually 21 is only in the 7s and the 3s, and also the 1s, 32s and 8s and the 4s. So as far as I'm concerned, that one doesn't simplify anymore. So we're happy. 21 over 32 is my final answer. So we've looked at proper fractions, we looked at whole numbers, and we looked at mixed numbers. That pretty much covers what you're likely to get for dividing fractions at grade 3. So what I'll do, I'll leave you with a few questions here at the end. I'll keep them on the screen for sort of 30 seconds or so for you to write down. Have a go at them independently. Show them to your teachers by all means as some extra work to show them how you've got on with dividing fractions. But if you follow that process we've gone through, you should be pretty confident with these. So what I'm going to do, these are your questions here. I've got 4 across the top. Ignore the one on the top. It's these ones just here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I've got a worded question. So Jacob has 7/8 litres of cola. He wants to fill glasses that contain 1/3 litres. How many glasses can he fill? So just as a clue to help you with that one, how many thirds can I fit into 7/8? So take this away, have a try, and then hopefully, you feel a bit of success at dividing fractions.